Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation from Deacon Pete Shoemaker of Our Lady of Hope Parish.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I feel led tonight. I don't know if you can hear me in the back. I'm not going to use the mic. My voice projects. But I feel necessary to project a thought of what was discussed over the last 3 or 4 weeks regarding safety within our community. And I guess from the clergy standpoint, we're always reminded that there is good and evil. Regardless of what we try to do, there's always good and evil. So tonight, in my prayer, I'm going to reflect that, if you will. Please bow your heads. Gracious Father of the universe, you are love and you are good, and you made us. We are grateful, Lord, that you've made us and placed us here to serve in this community in the capacities that are represented in this room. Continue to give us vision, O Lord. Continue to give us strength. Continue to give us hopefulness of making Gloucester Township and continue to make it a place to raise families and to create goodness. We pray, Lord, for all those who keep us safe. We pray for our police. We pray for our fire and rescue. And we pray, believe it or not, although they may not think so, for this council, who makes resolutions to be able to protect the dignity and protect each and every person that they are responsible for in governance in Gloucester Township. We're grateful for them, their families, and what they stand for. Continue to guide and direct us, we pray, as we enter the season of Easter, and be mindful again of those people who need prayer and protection. We ask this in your name, Lord. And we all say, Amen. Amen.
This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meeting of the Township Council established and adopted by Township Council, which scheduled designated time, date, and place of this public meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using electronic amplifying recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record, and we request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly to the microphone. The recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meeting. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Owens?
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Present.
Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Mignon?
Here.
Mrs. Strado? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Lechner?
Here.
Captain Barton in place of Chief Earl?
Here.
Mr. Carlemere?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here. We'll first have our public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please raise your hand. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll close the first public portion. Ordinance, this is the second reading, there will be a public hearing. Ordinance 0-18-04, calendar year 2018 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. This allows the municipality to increase the said budget to 2.5% unless authorized by an ordinance to increase it up to 3.5% over the previous year's final appropriations. So this will allow for a 1% increase in the budget from the previous said year. Mr. Cardis, is there anything you want to add to that?
We do this every year. What this enables you to do that you could not do if you did not pass this ordinance is the bank appropriation cap. It has nothing to do with tax levy. It has to do with the appropriations.
We'll now open up for a public hearing. Mr. Baldoro.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from the historic Village of Ariel. I'd like to ask Council, in the past you have banked the cap, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you also, in the years that you've banked the cap, and needed to, have you utilized that bank cap for the purpose of raising taxes above the 2% that year, enabling yourself to use the 2% the years prior? Have you done that in the past?
Two different caps here.
These are two different caps. Mr. Cardis?
This is not the cap you're referring to, you're talking
This
about
is
the tax
appropriation.
levy cap.
Okay.
This is the appropriation cap.
Okay. Does it allow you to do the same thing?
It merely allows you to go over what the appropriation cap would be at 2.5%. It allows you to go to 3.5. We do not have, right now, in looking at the budget, we do not have an appropriation cap problem. What it does allow for, it allows you to bank appropriation cap. Let's say, for example, if we were to, and it's hard to think it could happen, but get hit with 3 nor'easters in a row, and they were significant enough to cause us to spend $700,000, $800,000 a storm, which is conceivable, we would then be able to appropriate those kind of monies in subsequent budgets if we need to.
All right, well then my question would be similar to the levy cap. Do you also, are you also able to utilize the exclusion for debt service and various other extraordinary circumstances in that as well with appropriations?
I'm confused.
With the
Or if
2%
you're
cap.
asking me, are there exclusions to the cap on the appropriation side?
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely.
Is debt service one of them?
I believe it is, yeah.
Okay. My question then would be, I guess, why would you need to bank a cap with the expectations or possibility or availability to use it later? If you have, the town has as much debt as it does, and you'll always be able to circumvent the cap because of the debt service the town carries.
I don't see any correlation. They're mutually exclusive between the appropriation cap and debt service. No, I don't follow you.
And again, as you stated, that you can go above the cap, and that's an exclusion for debt service.
The first section of the budget, pages 4 through, I believe, 20 are the items that are inside cap. After 20, and again, don't hold me to it, I believe it's 20, on through 29 are items that are outside the cap.
And that budget has not been introduced yet. You're
That
working on
budget
it.
has not.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand the difference between the levy cap and the appropriations cap. With your being able to utilize debt service to exclude from that 2% or go above that 2%. Are they both similar?
Both calculations of cap are formulary, and they're formulary by the state of New Jersey. The state of New Jersey tells every one of the 567 municipalities exactly how you calculate the appropriation cap and how you calculate the tax levy cap. There's what's called a tax levy cap workbook, and that has to be completed and sent to the state. That then determines how much you are at cap, below cap, or over cap.
And again, it's great that the state can give you guidelines, but are all 500 and how many, sir?
It's 567, 66.
Do they all those municipalities carry the same amount of debt that we do?
I would think they would vary. There's some that will be close to us, but I would tell you that I would think the majority of them will pass the COLA ordinance, which is the ordinance we're passing tonight, that we passed for as far back as I remember through many, many administrations.
And again, I'm just trying to correlate the levy cap that you bank as well and the appropriations cap.
Again,
Thank you.
I said they're mutually exclusive to two separate caps.
And again, though, because we have the debt that we do, you're able to, and I'm going to use the word ignore the cap, because basically you can ignore the cap because of debt service. And with the amount of debt that we
What
have,
would you say with debt service? Because
I'm quoting
I
you.
consider our debt service to be relatively low. The
But you
maximum
have debt service.
The maximum debt service is I believe it's 3% of the average of the last 3 years assessed value. So we're assessed at $4.3 billion, and we're permitted to go to 3%. So that would take us in the neighborhood of $170 million in debt. We're nowhere near that.
What are we in debt?
I believe it's 60, 64, 65.
65 million in debt. And so long as we are $65 million in debt, and we pay a debt service on that, you said, and these are your words back to you, that it allows you an exclusion from the 2% cap.
No, I said formularily, there are
What-
items that are excluded from the calculation of the appropriation cap. That's what I said. And the same with the tax levy cap. In the formula, there are certain things that the state proscribes in the legislature that dictates under the Division of Local Government Services how to calculate the appropriation cap and the tax levy cap. And that is formulary, and that is designed by the state. Every municipality does it the same exact way.
And again, I'm going to be practical about this. You keep on quoting the state, and we're in the top 10 worst states in the country, tax-wise. And just because the state says you can do it doesn't mean you should. I think a little bit more responsibility with the debt service that's allowing us to go over the cap when we don't need to bank it is, again, I just think that there's too many ways around it, and this just seems to be
I
another
don't
one.
agree with your criticism, and that you should take that cause up to trade.
That's just as useless as talking to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
This is Ann Sargentoni, Blackwood. Traveling through Washington Township, I saw that they had a buy local program, and I was wondering if that was ever considered in this township.
Ms. Sargentoni, that was brought up by a resident. You probably know who he is.
No, I don't.
Okay. That was brought up.
No, I just do a lot of shopping in Washington Township, and I saw them over the weekend, so that's why I'm here tonight.
That was brought up. It was forwarded to the administration. Mr. Cardis has reached out to a particular firm, and it's also this individual that was interested in that particular program. Has he forwarded you information yet, Mr. Cardis?
No, I sent the individual that called it first into question, I sent him an email today, asking him to put it in writing. I have spoken with another municipality, not Washington Township. In fact, I spoke with Voorhees, who also does a program called, I think, Buy Voorhees or
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I did not contact Washington Township, I contacted Voorhees. I sent an email to the individual that first questioned the program at this council meeting and who has emailed me. And I sent him an email asking him to put his suggestions in writing. I made a phone call today to Voorhees and found out about their program. I have not yet contacted the company that they are going through. They're dealing with it.
Now, a few years ago, this was brought up by another resident, and the mayor looked into it, and it wasn't a particular program that he thought was beneficial to the township, but we're going to take another look at it.
I'm sorry, it was brought up to the mayor.
It was brought up to council, and the mayor and his administration looked into it, but at the time, it wasn't, they believed it wasn't beneficial to our residents.
Okay, so getting tax
But we'll
credits
look at
when
it
you...
again.
No, we're taking a look at it.
Huh?
That was a
No, but I'm saying what part of that wasn't beneficial?
There was a cost
It
involved.
was a cost, additional
To the
cost
people?
involved with it.
Cost to the administration to solicit the businesses, to advertise it. There were no companies at the time that, to my knowledge, that would go out and do this type of work for municipalities.
So you would have to hire an individual or allocate other resources for an individual to go out and meet with businesses, sign them up, oversee the program.
Well, that would still be true.
Not now.
No?
There are some companies, Mr. Cardis had indicated, that that's something that they would do, but we're taking a look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? That will close the hearing. I entertain a motion to accept the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is ordinance. It's the first reading. There is no public hearing on it. 0-18-03. That's amended. Ordinance of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, amending ordinance 0-03-03, land development adopting an inclusionary affordable apartment overlay, 1A apartment Zoning district for 1495 Chews Landing Road, Block 8401, Lot 12.02. This is designated area within the township, 1495 Chews Landing Road, as part of the township's affordable housing element and fair share. As part of a settlement agreement with the Fair Share Housing Center, where 72 residential units will be reserved for family, rental, low and moderate income households as defined by the Council of Affordable Housing. 11 of them will be set aside 11 of those 72 units set aside for COA requirements. The amendment has minimum side yards, minimum rear yards, minimum common courtyards, the minimum distance between buildings, and then the minimum of square footage interior storage for each unit. So those are some of the amendments in the ordinance.
I might add, Council President, that this ordinance is also becoming part of our housing element and fair share plan that's going to be submitted for acceptance initially through the parties in the matter. Litigation has already been accepted, our fair share housing plan, and this is part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Carlmeyer. With that, I entertain a motion to accept the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Milian?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is ordinance 0-18-05, ordinance of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, amending ordinance 0-03-03, land development to amend the zoning map for tax block 8401, lot 12.02, along Chews Landing Road. This amends the zoning map for the area tax block 8401, lot 1202, along Chews Landing Road. Mr. Lechner, you want to add anything to this?
Basically, this ordinance shows the previous ordinance where it's at on the zoning map.
This will go to the planning board. The planning board will make a recommendation to council at their March 27th meeting, and then this will be heard at the April meeting, correct?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. I entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Milian?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next, we have a resolution on the consent agenda. Any council member that would like to have any item removed, please speak up. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Second?
Thank you, Mrs. Estrada. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Milian?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. We did not receive any GT.eGov emails. Now we'll open up our second public portion. This is for any item. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Mr. Polidoro. And Mr. Polidoro, before you speak,
Yes.
you've always been very respectful of council. In your last comment of useless, I'm going to tell you, I personally did not appreciate it. We treat you with respect here, and I expect the same from you.
When you made the reference to Trenton as if someone would get somewhere, it was an awkward statement to make. Talk to Trenton. I'm speaking to you. I didn't want to talk to Trenton. I felt the same way. That's why I responded. And I do apologize.
Thank you.
The last time that we spoke on the possibility of Shop GT, you were going to look into it, and you also had mentioned that the administration was pondering over that. I remember Councilwoman Tracy Trotto and Michelle Winters saying that you wanted to know more about it. Okay. A lot of times I come here and I ask questions. A lot of times I have questions I already know the answers to. And sometimes I will come here with questions and solutions of my own that I think would work. So I did take the liberty of contacting PropertyTaxCard.com. Those are the people that are administering that program successfully, I might add, in several towns. And I went ahead and invited them down to tonight's council meeting. I've invited Gentleman Carmen DiFalco, and I hope that you will give him the liberty of some time to not only explain in brief the program, but whatever questions you may have. There's no reason right now that there'd be a decision of no on this. But whatever concerns you may have, I think the foremost authority on this program is the appropriate person to address the legislative branch of our government and a otherwise really, really good, solid program that benefits the people. So I would ask again if you would mind giving the courtesy to Mr. DeFalco to talk about and maybe have a dialogue with council on the possibility of buy GT or shop GT.
Mr. Polidoro, I wish you would have contacted us earlier. We probably could have had this on our workshop agenda, which takes place last week. It's the first Monday. You're fully aware of that. I guess you had other commitments last Monday. But we'll be more than happy to sit down with them during a workshop agenda. If they want to briefly tell us a little bit about the program, that's great, and we'll entertain any conversations with Mr. DeFalco. But I would encourage, if Mr. DeFalco wanted to speak to the legislative body, that would take place during our workshop the first Monday in April.
And that's all fine, but like I said, a dialogue that you guys can have and give you that opportunity. And again, it all has to do with scheduling. I was interested in meeting the gentlemen and what they're about as well. And if I was, I very well couldn't invite someone and not be a part of what was going on. So I did the best that I could to present to you a possible solution and the person with the answers that you all might be interested in. So I'm going to yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
But before we go
please.
to your invited guests, I'd like to see if there's any other residents that have any comments prior to bringing in Mr. DeFalco.
Thank you.
Anyone else with any other issues or concerns? Mr. Radish.
This is not about the local buy. That's not what you're asking, right?
Excuse me?
You weren't asking other issues about the local buy.
No,
Program
this is about
specifically.
anything.
Okay.
Right.
Good evening, Frank Radish, 331 Fenwick Lane. I have some questions around school security. I brought some questions to the board meeting, and I want to bring some questions here as well. What is this body's responsibility for security in our schools?
What this body is, well, I'm glad that you took your questions to the Board of Education. I can tell you back when Sandy Hook took place in 2012, 2011, December of 2012, the Chief Earl, along with the mayor and the Board of Education, the superintendent at that time, talked about making our schools safer. And that's when they, and Mr. Barton, Captain Barton, if you can help me with this, if I err, sat down with both bodies, the Black Horse Pike Regional School District and Gloucester Township Public School District, and addressed safety within those two districts. At the time, SROs were employed into going further, moving forward. They were employed in our school districts at the high schools, the two high schools that we have, Timber Creek and Highland. And then we had roving school resource officers throughout the Gloucester Township Public School District, in addition to the DARE officers, which are now lead officers, that's the name of the program, that are in our schools as well. Captain Barnes, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, the two high school guys are permanently in their schools. The three SROs, we call them rovers. They visit the three middle schools and all the elementary schools in town throughout the day.
As an officer, do you think this is sufficient?
So I think it's sufficient.
Yes, with our 11 schools.
Well, I think we try to make the best of officers opening the schools and making it as safe as we can.
And this is the first I'm hearing about the DARE officers. What's their...
It's lead now. It's Law Enforcement Against Drugs. They've always been in the schools since I started here in 1999. So they're part of the SRO program also. So they'll be in the middle schools, maybe one, maybe two a day, all day long.
Okay.
So, if they're teaching at CHU school, they'll be in CHU school all day, and they get the same function if there's any issues, any problems, if they want to talk to the children, things like that. Check the security, doors, things like that, to make sure everything's going okay.
Okay. All of our schools have locking doors when they close. Is that correct? Or is that a question for the board?
This is for the school.
That's a question of the board.
Okay.
Stubbs, you want to?
I mean, we have locking doors at Blackwood. I say all the schools. I'm principal at Blackwood.
Yes.
So we do have locking doors. I think the biggest safety feature that we all work on with the children is that there's a glass door and they see an adult, but they don't open the door. That's a great safety feature in the buildings. I'm very content with our SRO. It'd be wonderful to have them all the time. That's the ideal. but he's there as much as he can be. He stops in sometimes twice a day, even if it's for 15 minutes, for recognition amongst the children so they feel safe. I have his personal cell phone number that if I need anything, even before I call the police number, I can call his cell phone and he comes right over. Or if he's out on a call, someone else comes right over. So I feel very confident with that. A lot more confident than before I had.
Yeah, I mean, I know they do a wonderful job. It's the numbers that concern me. It's 3 out of 11.
I understand.
And
I understand.
and the
So
board.
Frank, you want more?
What's that?
Are you looking to have more officers in our school,
I think there are ways to add security to our schools.
such as?
There's all kinds of different options. What's the current arrangement with? Is the police force? Does the Board of Education fund the SRO program?
Yes, they do.
And is that a contractual thing or?
Yes, they have a contract.
And what is the cost of that?
I believe it's 300. Well, we have no. The contract.
Black Horse Pike, I
Black Horse
believe,
Pike was
is
300,000, and Gloucester Township was 300,000.
I believe you're correct.
Frank, what ideas do you have? Because
Well, I think I'm going to take.
To me,
It sounds. Go ahead.
it means a lot to me. If you have an idea, say it.
Okay, but it sounds like my idea needs to be brought to the Board of Education because they're.
We're here, and we can, whatever we can do to implement a good idea, we'll try and do.
I'm concerned because it feels like it's a little bit of a bureaucracy protecting the schools. It's a decision that's somewhat made by the board, somewhat made by police, somewhat made by the mayor's administration. I mean, I watched a roundtable conference on school security, and you just told me that the board is responsible for it. I don't know if there were any board members there. I don't think there were. If there were, they were very quiet. The mayor was active. Chief Earl was very active. It's just a little confusing to residents where to go with questions and to bring new ideas or see if there are any ideas. I asked the board if there had any desire or intention to expand the SRO program, and they said they weren't looking at that.
So what is your suggestion?
Anything.
Anything.
Well, I would like to see different levels of security. Locking doors is one, right? A vestibule, anything that delays. When in these instances, any added layer of protection can make such a big difference. And other townships locally are bringing in retired officers at $30 an hour to add security to schools. We can keep our SRO program and add security at every school for less than we pay the SROs.
Have you communicated your thoughts to the school board?
Not yet. I've communicated my concerns, and next time I'll communicate any thoughts or ideas I have.
I mean, I will say that at our last principals meeting, security was a large part of the discussion, if not most of it. So it is something that we've all put our heads together with and are coming up with ideas. I will say that the superintendent is very much involved in security, and there are all different levels of security that come with different levels of cost. When budgets and everything come around, this is going to be a big factor. When we talk
Sure, I'm
about
sure it is. My concern, and again, I'll bring it back to the board
Right.
if they don't hear about it or if they're watching. My concern was complacency. I sensed complacency that everything was fine, we have it under control, and everyone thinks that.
I would tell you that there's no sense of complacency.
I disagree.
We as principals,
Okay.
we as
All right.
principals are not complacent about safety. Again, we do the drills as instructed. Many of us do more than drills. And when I say a drill, we just don't do the average drill. If I have a fire drill in my building, I block certain doors just to get a response. You can't leave this door. What are you going to do? The drill, the unfortunate incident in Florida, the same type of thing. You do a lockdown drill and then pull the fire alarm. It's a test of your teachers. It's a test of your children. Because that's what saves the minutes. Everyone knowing what to do and where to go. So I just want you to know that it's a big discussion right now within the school district.
Okay. I hope they communicate it.
Yeah.
I do, because it's public information, and there was mention of a meeting, but no additional information was shared with the residents at the board. And I understand there needs to be a certain level of, we can't get everything out there, but residents also need to hear. And
I think they have to have some ideas. There's such a broad spectrum of things to do. I think they have to kind of bring that, kind of funnel that down. and figure out, versus coming out and saying, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. You can see that there's a thought process in whatever is proposed. And I think that's appreciated more than going from one end of the spectrum to the other. So I will let you know that it is a forefront thought in the minds right now of us as administration. And I'll say upper administration too.
Is at your administration level, are you guys considering or asking for added security or retired police officers to supplement the gap that the SROs can't fill?
We would be happy to have that. We don't know the cost limitations, but we've been happy with the SROs. We'll be happy to have more, but again, we have to look within our cost lines.
Yeah, no, it doesn't need to be SROs or not. I mean, there's ways to supplement
Right.
the security that we already have.
That has been voiced from, I would say, on my level of administration. That has been voiced. Amongst other things, vestibules have been brought up. There are all types of things that are out there now and are really being pushed to the forefront because safety is right now a factor for everyone. It's in the forefront. As you can see with everything going with students who are responding to their own safety. So I don't want you to think it's complacency. I think they just want to have some sort of plan versus just throwing everything out at you and not having a direction.
If I could piggyback on that, Frank, when the township worked with the school district on creating the SRO program, there was individuals that thought we jumped the gun and reacted too swiftly. And 3 years ago, I believe this time in March 2015 or 2014, it was 3 years ago, 2015, there was a packed Board of Education meeting at Mullen where people did not want to add additional security. And the chief articulated why we should have security in our schools. And so there was residents in our community that did not want to bear that cost.
Sure, people start hearing that and think that their kids are going to be in jail, but that's not the case.
The school board went forward and moved with that project and that program. And there's a lot of things, as Ms. Stubbs will tell you, and my office used to be located in a school building. There are a lot of things that a school resource officer does that is not known to most of the people, most of the public. They're dealing with issues that before they even make it to the superintendent level or to the administrative level throughout the course of the day. And their schedule is not being known, am I correct, Captain Bard, to the public?
Random.
Random. So,
Okay, thank you, and thanks, Ms. Stubbs.
Is there anyone else? Mr. Shoemaker.
I'm Pete Shoemaker. I'm part of the Mayor's Ministerium. I'm also a member of the board at the Kingdom Charter School of Leadership. And being close to the police department and also being a police chaplain, new appointed police chaplain, I have to say that I am very impressed with what our police force is doing on a routine basis, at least from the Kingdom Charter School. It's my impression that every school has an officer assigned to it, and that officer goes into the school routinely and reviews safety issues, especially as it relates to entrance and exits and what lockdown's supposed to be. And if anyone here went to the seminar that was conducted by our police department and opened to everyone in our county, and there were people there from as far north as Connecticut and as far south as Delaware, on a first shooter response seminar, it was extraordinary. It absolutely is extraordinary. And I have to admit that it's not like we have the final say that we're going to come up with the perfect solution. That's not going to be the case right away. It is a process of evolving a safety solution for each school, because each school's topography is very different, and you can't treat one school like everyone else. So I have to say that the evolution of what is happening in our township and the way that police are responding to this issue is exemplary. It is exemplary, and I think throughout the state too. I think you'll see that. So for what it's worth, I just have to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Anyone else? Mr. Sweet.
Good evening, Council. Sam Sweet from Ariel.
Good evening, Sam.
Quick question for Mr. Hutchinson. If we come up with a plan, do we present, I'm confused, does it go to the board or does it go to you guys first or both?
I think you definitely send it to the board, but I'm particularly interested in it. I mean, if you get me something, I'd love to look at it, and if you think that it's not being addressed at a different, more appropriate board, maybe my voice is a little bit louder. It shouldn't be, but maybe it will be.
Okay, all right, and then,
And to that end, you brought up something apparently when I left early at a meeting. You brought up this buy Gloucester Township thing. I was going to reach out to you after tonight's meeting because I'd like to be involved with you in pursuing that.
okay, all right. I couldn't make the workshop meeting, and there was something for Mr. Lechner, the discussion of an amendment to the zoning map.
Yes, we just had an ordinance here. That was our 0-18-05. We had a first reading of it.
Okay, so just read that. I missed that. Sorry, I came in a little late. So I apologize for that.
There'll be a second reading, public hearing, first week in April?
Okay,
It's including if you were here for when you had we talked about the affordable apartment overlay.
oh, it's just that, it deals with that? Okay, it's not like
It's including
rezoning?
that part in that overlay.
Okay, it's not like rezoning districts or anything, okay. And then the other thing was for Mr. Carlemere, discussion of a tax lien installment payment plan?
That was a resolution.
Is that the resolution also?
We have I don't know how much I can say, but we have an individual that has some taxes, back taxes.
Statute allows anyone that has taxes or tax liens to take the opportunity to pay off that tax lien or taxes that are due under an installment program. The statute outlines the manner of payments, has to be less than a 3-year period, and all current taxes have to be maintained current while the person is going through an installment program. This is a person and developer who has a tax lien on development that he's putting into. This one piece of property which sits in the front, I believe, is the basin. Council or he wants to pay that off and he wants to do it in installments. I spoke to the business administrator and the manner of his installments and the tax assessor. His installments and the amount of payment is appropriate. He's already signed the agreement. If this resolution was passed tonight, which it was, I'm going to submit it to the clerk to have the administration sign it.
Okay. That's it, just, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
That's all I had.
After tonight's meeting, Sam, we meet? Do you have time after the meeting?
Yeah.
Is there anyone else? Okay, Mr. DeFalco? And after that, we'll close our public hearing. Mr. DeFalco, hi, how are you, and welcome. I was just telling Mr. Cardis that if we did move forward with a program similar to this, we would have to do a request for proposal, and where we have a level playing field and put this out. So what I would ask you is to just give me a general overview of the program and what you do.
Absolutely, thank you very much.
That comment is very important because you're appearing before all of council, and if the legislative body and administrative function of government go forward with the program, they're going to have to secure RFP, RFQ, and I'm sure you would participate in that. So, in a sense, you have to be cautious of how far you go into what you would provide, because this is the legislative body that approves, contracts and that come in.
I understand, and in fact, I think I can answer some of those questions since I go in front of many town councils.
So and I just want to piggyback, I'm sorry, Mr. DeFalco. So our response will be thank you, because we don't, you can have the XYZ company that wants to come in next week and talk about this program.
Right.
Okay?
But so that for everybody's edification, we are the only company that does this in the United States. And in fact, we have proprietary software. So if you do issue an RFP, which no one of the 25 townships that we currently do business with, we will be the only one if we decide to answer to your RFP. So for that reason, we do not, it has been decided in many of these towns, in all of these townships, that an RFP was not necessary. But I will, if you don't mind, I'd like to distribute this so everybody
Oh,
can.
absolutely.
Okay. So let me tell you quickly how the program works. So the township, we've been around since 2010. Our first township was Marlborough, New Jersey, which launched the program in 2012, and today we are in 24 townships, and we have another 3 or 4 townships in the backlog ready to go. So the way it works is very simple. The township issues these kind of swipe cards. This is for Washington Township, and this one is for East Brunswick, to all their residents. The residents go online on our web portal and they register their card with a block and lot. So public information. Once they register their card, they go around town, they swipe their card at participating merchants, and a percentage of the sale decided by the merchants at the time they're registering the program goes back to this person's property tax bill. So the more I swipe my card in my town, and my town, Marlborough, happens to have the program, the more property tax credits I earn directly on my tax bill. Our fiscal year goes from May 1st to April 30th. Then we tally all the numbers, and we send one payment file to the township with all the block and lots and the credits. The tax collector presses a button, and all the block and lots are credited for the amount of the credits that people have earned over the course of the previous 12 months. And they will see it right on the tax bill, on the third quarter tax bill. And there's a reason for that. I don't want to get into too technical. But the idea is there is zero work from the township employees when it comes to that. The tax collector, just to put things in perspective, receives thousands, tens and hundreds of thousands of tax payments of payment files a year. We'll be sending only one a year. So we'll take them a few minutes. So that's how the program works. We can also include visitors and renters into the program. Obviously, they do not pay property taxes, so they'll receive a check from us at the end during about the same period of time. The idea is to keep everybody involved, everybody shopping in their own town, and spend money in their own town. That's a very simple idea. You guys have a hospital, if I remember correctly, from when I came here last time. And
Hospital? No, we don't have.
oh, you do not have? Okay, sorry. I must be confusing with another town. I apologize. But so if you have companies in
We have a
town,
lot of urgent cares.
yeah.
There we are.
I'm sure some of those people do not live in town and they could use the card because they can shop in town. The idea is to keep people in town even after the work hours, to go to the local hair salon or restaurant or nail salon or whatever, so they can swipe their card and spend their money in their own town. We have a township not too far from here that wants to do the program the worst way. They're looking for the sponsor for the cards, and they said to me, Carmine, we did a study, and we lose $20,000 a year per household to the next towns over. And if we can just capture 1% or 2% of that with your program, it's already been worth it. So cost of the township is zero, because the taxes are basically, it's a reward that is paid by the merchants. The only cost will be the cards and the window clings, which is going to be right on the windows of the merchants. But in all of our cases, the cards are sponsored by either the local bank where you guys keep your money, or by a big business in town, and then their name is hatched in the back of the card, and the cards do not expire, so it is great marketing for them. In the case of Washington Township, Republic Bank, which is their main bank, stepped up and bought 20,000 cards or 10,000 cards, I don't remember right now. So that's how it works in a nutshell. What is the responsibility of the township? We cannot go door to door and we cannot talk to everybody. We're not here. We are 2 hours away. That's where we are located. We need a point person in town. In case of Washington Township, they have one girl or two girls over there. They're the assistant of the town managers. They go out and they talk to the merchants. At the beginning, we'll assign a supervisor of the program, so they'll come down and talk to your people so they can all go out together, get our first 15 merchants, because that's what we need to start the program, at least 15. You do not want to start a program that only has 2-3 merchants. It will make no sense. And so after that, you guys will manage your program, because Shop Gloucester Township is not a program, it's not a brand, it'll be your brand. We are just the vehicle, the engine that makes basically the vehicle go. So again, that's how the program works in a nutshell. My number, my office number is in the back of the brochure. If you guys want to contact me, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, and I can answer any questions that you have now.
Thank you, Mr. Falco. I appreciate you coming down. Thank you for your
Great, thank you very much. Have a good night.
With that, we'll close the second public portion. Polling of directors.
Mr. Leclerc?
I have nothing to comment, thank you.
Captain Barton?
No report?
Mr. Carlemere?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis? Mr. Hutchison?
Briefly, I'm very interested in this program. Sam, you and I will meet. Frank, public safety, paramount. Absolutely, I mean, everything we're reading in the newspapers, online, it's about public safety and protecting our children. So, what this next year is going to be about. Thank you.
Mr. Owens?
Congratulate Public Works for a great job with the most recent storm that we had. The streets were clear, as well as all the brush. First responders, as always, doing a great job.
Mrs. Stubbs?
I'd also like to talk, sir, just a few things about safety that have been discussed. I didn't want to discuss it here, but just a few things that have been discussed. Maybe you could just look. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for coming out.
Mrs. Winters?
I just want to thank everyone for coming out. And it does look like an interesting program. It's something I look forward to learning more about. I did look it up online and send an email with a couple inquiry questions just to, answer some of the personal questions I had. But I look forward to moving, possibly moving forward with the plan like this. Have a great day.
Mr. Mignon?
Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the information. Everybody be safe going home tonight.
Mrs. Trotter?
Thank you all for coming. Have a good week.
Mr. Mercado?
A few announcements. The rec center will be having their bunny, the Easter bunnies arriving on March 24th from 10 to 2. That's a free event at the rec center. And also on March 26th, 2 weeks from today, we're celebrating Women's History Month by recognizing individuals that have made a difference. So women who make a difference. 2 Fridays ago, when we had one of our storms, I was on Blackwood Clementon Road, and my son and I were leaving the gym there, and he was in the mood for some fried chicken after we left the gym. And the lights were out on Blackwood Clementon Road. But those lights were quickly restored with the use of generators. Generators that the township purchased upon the recommendation of our police department, was put in our capital budget, and those lights were up and running. And those generators were purchased after the Derico storm that we had in June 23rd of 2015. So thank you very much, Police Department and Public Works, for making that happen. Lastly, 2 individuals recently passed away this week in our township. One was Judy Gore, who was a longtime employee of the Black Horse Pike Regional School District, was the principal's secretary at Highland Regional, and was a member of the Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee. For those who aren't aware, the Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee, they are responsible for putting on Gloucester Township Day, the 5K race in town, and they provide $45,000 in scholarships to 45 students that are attending college that are high school seniors from Gloucester Township. Her son is a coach and guidance counselor at Highland Regional High School, so if we can keep their family in their thoughts and prayers. And the second one is Rose Ball. Rose Ball was the ELL teacher, English Limited Language teacher at C.W. Lewis School. She worked with our individuals that were English was their second language. Was a teacher at Gloucester Township, C.W. Lewis School for close to 15 years, and a resident of this township, and was a woman who was honored by council 2 years ago for a woman who makes a difference for Women's History Month. So please keep their families in your thoughts and prayers. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor? Thank you. Great evening.
Yeah, that's fine. But a lot of times you're too close to know when I see from other communities.